Hello, and welcome to the Megan Taylor Creator Podcast, a show for entrepreneurs looking to grow their business with digital marketing. In this episode, I'll be talking about lead generation and how to generate effective, quality leads for your business. Let's get started. Welcome back to Digital Marketing for Beginners. In this installment, I wanted to sit down and talk about lead generation and how to generate leads through your digital marketing efforts, which is ultimately what we all want. As a digital marketer for 5 years now, lead generation is something that I'm incredibly familiar with, as at the end of the day, most digital marketing campaigns really inspire to acquire leads and to acquire quality leads. But actually getting quality leads is quite difficult. And when you're first starting out in marketing, you may notice that the quality in leads that you generate might not be what you're looking for. Lead generation is a vast topic and it's one that I could go on about forever. But to give a bit of structure to this episode, here's a brief rundown of what I'll be talking about. What is lead generation? How to define quality leads? How to capture leads effectively, and the best digital marketing activities for lead generation. So, as you can see, there's quite a lot to talk about in this episode. So, as usual, I'm just going to get straight into it. The first thing that we need to do for you to be able to acquire leads effectively is to talk about what lead generation actually is. And according to HubSpot, lead generation is the process of attracting prospects to your business and increasing their interest through nurturing, all with the end goal of converting them into a customer. So, in the same vein, a lead is someone who indicates interest in your company's product or services in some way. This means by extension that your social media followers, email subscribers, website visitors, they're all leads to some extent. But the key here is to be able to capture and then nurture those leads so that eventually you can turn them into a paying customer. And the most important thing about lead generation is having an effective way to actually capture those leads and get their data so that you can start to form those relationships. But we'll talk more about how to actually do that effectively later. So, nurturing your followers on social media in theory is quite a simple process. Social media is obviously by its nature very engaging and people go there to network a lot of the time. So theoretically, what you really need to do is create shareable and engaging content that you know that your target audience will want to engage with in some way. And you can do the same for your email subscribers, and your email subscribers can also share that to people in their network too, thanks to advancing technologies. A lot of email providers such as ConvertKit and HubSpot have those capabilities, and that makes your leads even more valuable in that sense, because they can obviously start generating leads for you if your content is valuable and is really doing its job. However, nurturing returning website users can be a bit more of a complicated process, because whilst you have things like cookies and analytics software that allows you to track your website users' movements and whether they're a new or returning visitor, you still don't necessarily have their data until they get in touch with you in some way. And this is why it's so important to be able to capture interested visitors as soon as they land on your site, and why things like sales funnels are so important, because sure, someone could arrive on your site and have a look around and in their head they may be interested, but then if they don't make the active effort to get in contact with you, then apart from gaining a deeper understanding into your target audience, that information is actually kind of irrelevant. So actually being able to capture that information is really important, but more importantly, actually being able to do so to a larger pool of people is key here. So now that we've defined what lead generation actually is, let's look at how to define quality leads. And obviously, we've kind of talked about the definition of lead generation and the fact that it is essentially anyone who shows interest in your business is a lead. Not all leads actually contribute to business growth. The most important thing here is to remember that you want to spend time nurturing those leads that have a stronger possibility of actually converting. And in the beginning of your business, this might be harder to do you because you don't have that data. But over time, patterns will start to merge of the types of people that show interest in your business and people that have actually converted before. So it becomes a lot easier to create a strategic approach to lead generation, which is the end goal. And there are a number of ways that you can actually start to identify quality leads in the beginning, though. So you're not completely lost and you can continue to adopt these processes. And the first of those techniques is lead scoring. And this is where you rank prospects based on their readiness to buy. So it's a really simple process that a lot of sales teams adopt. And this is kind of where sales and the marketing really start to cross over, and why it's so important that you have them aligned with your business, because marketing needs to understand what qualifies as a quality lead, as well as sales, because marketing, people who are doing the email sequences that you're sending out, for example, that have all that information on your leads. So actually being able to see that information and seeing whether someone still wants to be on your email list, for example. If they've not been engaged for a long time, you may choose to re-engage them as an experiment, or you may actually choose to get rid of them because sales, for example, has actually identified that person as an uninterested person, so they're no longer a lead. And the main way that you show readiness is by providing or assigning the person a numerical value. The most effective way is to rank the lead from 1 to 10, and then the higher their number, the more time you know you should be spending with them. And whilst you obviously still have to be prepared for a level of uncertainty and changing behaviors in customers, lead scoring has proven to be a pretty foolproof way of identifying quality leads, and is one that's widely adopted by sales and marketing teams worldwide. And the next way that you can start to identify quality leads is through lead quality metrics. Along with lead scoring, you may want to adopt some metrics to help you track your lead generation success over time. So examples of lead quality metrics include time to conversion, leads to opportunities, and visitors to leads. And you'll kind of probably want to adopt all of these, as a website and an online website is a typical way of most online businesses capturing their lead data. So make sure that you're kind of tracking this information just to see how effective your activities, which we'll speak about later on in the episode, how effective they actually are into acquiring those quality leads that you're looking for. And while this isn't an exhaustive list, the last thing that I wanted to talk about in terms of identifying quality leads is filtering with forms. And over time, if your marketing is effective, you'll start to attract a lot of quality leads, but you will also start to attract a lot of leads that aren't interested at all in your business. And sometimes it's a lot easier to see, especially if they've gotten in contact with you and it doesn't seem like that contact or the interest that they've shown in that contact is particularly genuine. So that's a common sense thing where you can kind of review something and think, okay, this isn't worth the time. But it's not always difficult to figure out what leads are important when you're starting to generate massive amounts of leads. And the thing is that you really do want to maintain a quality so that your team, or you, if it's just you, are maintaining efficiency in terms of their lead generation and lead nurturing activities. So the best way to do this, especially if you're capturing everything through emails or through a sales funnel that has like landing pages, for example, where the prospects enter their emails or telephone data information, if you're looking to start to schedule calls with prospects, is to filter with forms. And this just saves so much time. Basically, put in smart rules, put in filters, and see which leads immediately you should be spending time with and not having to worry about the ones that you know aren't important. The next thing that we need to talk about so that you can start to generate leads is to actually learn how to capture leads effectively. And the best place to start with this is actually through content marketing. And this is, I suppose, where I got my start with marketing, is lead generation and lead gen campaigns. I spent a lot of my early and formative massive years in digital marketing working on campaigns that were centered around generating lead magnets and creating sign up forms. So I've had quite a lot of success with this, and it's something that I've adopted into my own business. And whilst this isn't, groundbreaking information, I think the most important thing is just to set up a system. Obviously, you can refine the system over time as your business expands and grows, but the most important things that you'll want to have is a landing page. You also want to have email forms, and you'll want to make sure that those email forms actually capture the data that you want. And then once the person has filled the email form out, you'll want to be able to put them onto an email list that's relevant to them. You will obviously want to have some kind of system in place, and most website providers will do this for you, where just because of GDPR, some people don't want you to send marketing information, and you can normally just add like a yes, I want to receive this information, or no, I don't tick box. So it's a really simple thing to do, and something that you really shouldn't overlook because you don't want to get in trouble. To make sure that you're attracting people to this, you really need a lead magnet. And lead magnets are something that a lot of people get wrong, because there's so many popular types of lead magnets that people just assume work for everyone. So things like white papers and ebooks, or a short course like a video course, for example. And while they've been proven to work, they might not be right for your business. So really sit down and think about, okay, what is it that my actual target audience wants, and how can I provide that to them in a way that's going to be efficient for me to create, but valuable to them? Because you do have to think of it as a time thing, because this stuff takes time. One of the businesses that I worked for prior to starting Megan Taylor Creative created an ebook that they spent months and months writing, and I don't think it did that much for them. They did it on advice from another third-party agency, and it didn't yield the results that they wanted to get. But the amount of time that they spent on it, they felt like they had to at least do something with it. Chances are you won't see success straight away, so it can be really difficult to understand the effectiveness of your lead magnet. But just be really careful. And also, you may not want to just have one lead magnet. Obviously, it really depends how much time and resources and money you can put into generating a lead magnet, but just make sure that it is going to benefit your target audience in some way. And one of the most effective ways I found to identifying the types of lead magnets that I should be creating is just to look at competitors and see what they're doing, and more specifically look at competitors that have actually seen success with lead generation. In this instance, I wouldn't necessarily focus on smaller competitors. I would actually focus on larger competitors. Say competitors like HubSpot, for example. Obviously, HubSpot have like an insane content creation team that is consistently creating content all day, every day. And they have so many people, and not all businesses are blessed to have that. So bear that in mind. But over time, you should theoretically be able to put time aside to actually create it all, put the resources aside to get someone else to create it for you. So yeah, a lead magnet is ultimately going to bring people to take the action that you want them to take. It's a little give and take. It's, I provide you with this free resource in exchange for your information, and if the resource is valuable, most people are happy to do that. But that said, you may say, for example, if you wanted to get someone's phone number, there may be a better way of doing that than creating something of value. Instead of creating like an actual product, like a free product, you could offer them a discount, and then you'll get in contact with them. So for example, if it's a discount off a product or a free discovery call, for example, and all you need is their phone number to actually get in touch, or a quote, even just like get an instant quote, you'll need that information some way to be able to deliver that to the person that wants it. And finally, I wanted to touch on actually the best digital marketing tactics that you can use to capture leads. And I think the most important thing to remember here is that all of your digital marketing efforts need to work together to build leads. Obviously, you'll have different campaigns that have specified goals. Some may be timely, some may be more evergreen, but generally, you should be building tactics that will consistently be able to help you capture leads, because without that, you won't be able to grow your business. Honestly, the best way to do it, and I know I may sound a little bit biased saying this, but the best way to do it is through content marketing. People really want content, and people really want good content. And if you can show that you can produce value through educating them or entertaining them in some way through your content, then that is ultimately going to be the best way to do that. And obviously, you can repurpose your content across multiple channels to kind of widen the pool, if you like. So I have my podcast, which I've set up not just for fun. I really enjoy doing it, but I have set it up specifically to help me generate leads, because I can promote that content on different social media platforms and attract certain people over there. And I can also promote it in my email list and continue to nurture the leads I already have. And then obviously I can, and I want to at some point, start turning these podcasts into blog posts so that I can absolutely maximize the value and the potential of lead generation for this podcast. So I've also got this on multiple streaming sites. So I've got it on Spotify and on YouTube as well. And YouTube is particularly great because YouTube is another search engine that I can tap into. So yeah, you just got to be creative about it and make sure that you're thinking as a whole, in the sense you're not necessarily thinking about individual tactics here. And once you've established and determined your lead magnet, then that's going to really help you identify what you need to do in terms of tactics to actually start generating leads. So yeah, that's it. That's everything that I have today. As I said, this is a topic that I could speak about for ages, but I really just wanted to give some kind of structure into an episode that could quite easily be hours and hours long. So I really hope that you enjoyed it and you found some value from it. Megan Taylor Creative, we do offer some lead generation services specifically for lead magnets and the invention of lead magnets. So we can sit with you and identify the correct ones that you should be using, and then actually create the lead magnet and then work with you to create campaigns that promote it. If you did want to work with Megan Taylor Creative, I'll leave all the information in the show notes. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. And as always, I will speak to you next week. Bye.